What do you do when the man who pulls you from the edge of death carries the scars of the war that broke your people? In the winter of 1876, high in the Dakota Black Hills, a former cavalry scout named Elias Kane saves a young Lakota woman named Tala from a frozen ravine. She's running from a past that chained her spirit, hunted for daring to choose her own path. Freedom doesn't come free. It's carved in frost and paid in defiance. Elias once rode with the men who burned her village to ash. Now, he stands against them, a traitor to his own blood. This story, woven from forgotten journals of Lakota resistance, unfolds in a journey of raw truth, a bond built in silence, a chase through snow-choked pines, and an ending that cuts deeper than the wind. Wait till the end to see if Tala reclaims her name or if the past claims them both. Tala, barely 20, once stared into the ice and saw no future. Elias, 45, still hears the screams of orders he followed too long. But in one final stand, she lifts a blade, hands trembling but unbroken, and claims her name. Don't turn away if you believe in the fight to be free, to be forgiven. Skip this, and you'll miss a story the world tried to erase. It was a cold that clawed at your soul, not just your skin, the kind that made the Black Hills feel like the edge of forever. Elias Kane rode low along the ridge, his horse's hooves muffled in the snow, breath fogging quick and gone. Out here, no one waited, no one judged. Just the weight of a life dragged too far. Below, where the ravine cut sharp through frozen earth, something stirred. A shadow, faint, like a deer too weak to run. Then he saw her, half buried in snow, fingers scraping at the ice, too tired to fight but too stubborn to die. Elias slid from the saddle, boots sinking deep, and crawled across the brittle crust, heart pounding as the ice groaned beneath him. His hand found hers, cold as stone but still gripping. She came up light, too light, like the world had already half-claimed her. Her lips were cracked, her hair matted with frost, breath so faint it barely moved. He carried her to his lean-to, a mile off, every step burning his lungs. The fire inside was low, spitting embers, but it held. He laid her on a pallet, wrapped her in wool, kept his hands careful, never touching skin. Not out of fear, but because he knew what it meant to be touched when trust was a ghost. Hours bled into night, snow piling against the canvas walls. Elias sat by the fire, a worn journal open in his lap, pages stained with ink and guilt. He didn't read it, just held it, the weight of names he'd never speak. Tala stirred, her breath sharper now, bruises blooming dark across her cheek. On her wrist, beneath torn cloth, a mark, etched, faded, a word that wasn't hers. Owned. He didn't ask who did it. The answer was in the silence. He whispered, more to the fire than her, the shadow passes, but the light remains. His voice was rough, and used, like gravel underfoot. Outside, the wind stilled. Hooves crunched, too close, too sharp. Elias froze, eyes on the dark beyond the pines. No rifle yet, just watching. Tala twitched in her sleep, fingers curling like she was fighting something only she could see. The snow held secrets, and it was whispering trouble had already found them. She woke like a spark catching flame, eyes wide, lunging for a knife left on the crate. She held it to her own throat, daring him to move. Elias didn't. He stood slow, hands open, and walked outside, leaving the door wide. The cold poured in, but she sat alone, knife shaking, then falling to the dirt. She stepped out, barefoot, into the snow, testing the world. Elias leaned against a post, not looking, just there, letting her see the open hills, the way out. She didn't run. Not yet. That night, she lay under blankets, fingers tracing the mark on her wrist, the lie someone carved into her. Memories came in fragments, shouts, smoke, hands that took without asking, a collar snapping shut, the stench of blood and iron. She flinched, even asleep. Elias stayed by the fire, silent, leaving the knife where it fell, the door unbarred. He could have taken, could have demanded, but he didn't. When dawn broke, she carried water from the stream, hands raw from the cold. She boiled it, handed him a tin cup, no words. Something shifted, small, like a crack in the ice. She folded his scarf, left it by the fire. He saw the bruises, didn't stare, gave her the room. She turned a tin mug upside down by the crate, deliberate, a quiet claim. Days passed, not loud, just steady. A second cup on the table, a mended strap, her humming soft as wind. Elias hauled wood, fixed the lean-to's sagging roof. Tala cleaned, moved things, made the space less broken. But what secrets did her silence hide? Wait till the end to see what she's running from and why it won't let her go. On the fourth day, Elias opened a tin box, rusted, heavy with years. Inside, papers, a cavalry pin, a list of names, Lakota, crossed out like debts paid. His hands shook as he read, not from cold, but from memory. Villages burned, children counted like livestock, orders he'd carried without question. He burned it, page by page, no words, just smoke curling into the night. Tala saw the ash, said nothing, just kept sewing a torn blanket, her hand steady but distant. Later, she found a coin half buried in ash, stamped with the same cavalry mark. She shaped it in clay, carved it, then crushed it, letting the pieces fall. Elias watched, said nothing. The silence wasn't empty anymore. He left a shawl on the pallet, old, patched, stitched with a name, Clara. Tala touched it, nodded once, and wore it. They didn't talk much, but the quiet felt like a path now, not a wall. Each day, she grew stronger, her steps surer, her eyes sharper, like she was remembering who she was before the world tried to break her. But who was Clara, and why did her name weigh so heavy? Stay with us to find out what Elias carried from his past that could unravel it all. The first sign of trouble came not from the wind but from the birds, silent, gone from the pines. Elias felt it in his chest, a tightening he hadn't known since the war. He checked the traps along the ridge, found a boot print, too wide, too fresh. Not his, not hers. Another nearby, dragging, like someone carrying a load. He followed the tracks until they vanished into the trees, then turned back. Fast, quiet. That night, a thud hit the lean-to's door, heavy, deliberate. Elias opened it slow, hand on his rifle but not raised. A sack sat in the snow, dusted white. He brought it inside, untied it. A photograph fell out, black and white, Tala in a dress too tight, standing beside a man with a smile sharp as a blade. Behind it, a paper, wax-sealed, the same cavalry mark he'd burned. Tala stood in the corner, arms wrapped tight, eyes on the floor. I didn't kill him, she said, voice low. I wanted to, but I didn't. Elias fed the fire, let the photo curl in the heat. He stayed kneeling, letting her know he wasn't leaving. What had she escaped? And who was hunting her still? Wait till the end to see if the truth sets her free or buries them both. Morning broke gray, the sky heavy with unshed snow. Elias stepped outside, boots crunching, the air biting his face. The silence wasn't peace, it was waiting. A voice cut through, loud, commanding, not asking but ordering. Marshal Amos Holt stood at the clearing's edge, badge glinting, horse restless. Two men flanked him, one older, rifle loose, one younger, eyes flickering with doubt. Caleb, the marshal's son, barely 22, face still soft but hardening fast. You're hiding a fugitive, Cain, Holt called. Hand her over, or the law takes you both. Elias walked forward, slow, hands visible, stopping halfway. Show me the paper, he said. Holt held up a warrant, seal clear but words too far to read. It don't say who she is, Elias said, voice flat. A raven screamed in the distance. Holt nodded to his men. Get him. Bring her. Elias didn't move, didn't draw. You'll have to come through me. The older deputy stepped first, Caleb slower, unsure. Elias let them come, let the cold settle like armor. They bound his wrists, rough but not cruel. Tala walked out, jaw set, eyes dry, no fight left but no surrender either. Caleb looked at her, not as prey, but something else. Something that made him pause. What did Caleb see in her that changed the game? Keep listening to find out if he breaks or bends. The ride was long, snow kicking up behind hooves, chains rattling soft then still. Elias watched the pines pass, branches heavy with ice, his hands numb not from cold but knowing what came next. He'd worn a badge once, knew the kind of justice money bought. Tala rode behind, silent, her patched coat flapping. Caleb kept glancing at her, quick, when his father wasn't looking. Night fell sharp, the sky bruising purple. They camped in a hollow, fire snapping against the cold. Holt read the warrant again, like he needed to believe it. Elias sat tied to a pine, Tala across, knees pulled tight. Her shoulders shook, not from cold but something deeper. Her hand slipped to her coat, found a jagged stone, pressed it to her throat. Elias tensed, but Caleb moved faster, knocking it free. She froze, didn't scream. Caleb crouched, breath loud, looking at her like he'd seen a truth he wasn't ready for. Leave her, Holt snapped. Caleb didn't move. Elias met his eyes. You think she's the one who needs chaining? Holt drew his gun. One more word, Cain, and you're done. Elias stood, bound but steady. You think chains make this land yours? You stole it long before you wrote her name on a paper. Caleb stood, voice cutting sharp. Enough. His hand rested on his holster, not drawing, just there. I didn't sign up to hunt women for a drunk's coin. Holt stared, daring. Caleb didn't blink. What choice would Caleb make when the fire died? Wait till the end to see if he walks away or stands his ground. Dawn came brittle, frost veining the saddles. Caleb cut their ropes, no words, just a knife through hemp. Tala stood, blood slow in her hands, eyes on Caleb, not grateful, not angry, just seeing. Holt sat by the fire, badge dull, gun gone, left in the snow by his son. He didn't fight, didn't speak, like he knew the law he carried wasn't his anymore. The trail north twisted through frozen rivers and ridges, wind cutting deep. Caleb led, silent, Elias and Tala following. Her coat was patched, hair tight under a fur cap, eyes mapping the land like it was hers again. By dusk, they reached Pine Notch, a pass only the snowborn knew. The sun fell fast, wind splitting lips and thoughts. They pushed through, no words, just breath. At the Lakota village, the snow softened, the air thick with stories. Smoke curled from low tents, no guards, just eyes watching from shadows. Caleb stopped short, nodded once, and turned back, his coat flaring like a promise unkept. Tala rode in alone. An elder stepped forward, eyes clouded, touching Tala's cheek, her throat, the empty place where a chain once hung. Tala pressed a broken pendant into her hand, whispered something Elias didn't catch. The circle opened, pulling her in. Elias stayed outside, boots frozen to the earth, watching firelight that wasn't his. A boy brought him a blanket, then set a metal bird on the ground, his old cavalry badge, melted, reshaped, wings sharp and free. What did it mean to carry that bird, and what would Tala find in the village? Stay with us to see if the past lets them go. Weeks turned, the village breathing slow under snow. Elias mended roofs, hauled wood, kept watch on the ridge. No one asked him to stay, no one asked him to leave. Tala moved among her people, quieter now, but stronger, her hands busy with hides, her eyes clear. One night, she told him her story, not all of it, just pieces. A forced marriage, a man with hands like iron, a night she ran with nothing but a stolen knife. The warrant wasn't for justice, it was revenge, bought by a man who thought he owned her soul. Elias listened, said nothing, just let her words settle. But trouble wasn't done. Smoke rose one morning, sharp bitter, from the village edge. Elias ran, smelled the burn before Tala could name it. Flames licked the lodge, gunfire cracking like bone. Holt's men, led by a tracker named Vance, came hard, their warrant a lie inked in greed. Elias ducked behind a log, fired once, dropped a man. Tala pulled children through brambles, her hands bleeding but steady, hiding them in snow. Vance lit a torch, aimed for the lodge. Elias tackled him, broke his arm, stamped out the flame. Another shot rang out, not from Vance. Caleb stood on the hill, rifle raised, eyes torn but steady. He fired again, Vance fell, blood soaking snow. Caleb dropped his gun, walked away, no words. The fire died, embers fading into the black. Tala stepped from the trees, ash on her face, eyes clear. The village gathered, silent, counting the living. A child clung to her. Elias nodded, stayed back. What had Caleb seen to make him turn, and would Tala's people ever trust Elias? Wait till the end to see if they rebuild or break. Spring came slow, the ice cracking along the ravine, water running dark with silt and memory. Elias stood by the river, holding a stone, smooth where Tala's blood had dried. He let it fall, watched it vanish. Tala found him, shawl patched with fox fur, eyes calm. She took it off, pressed it into his hands, the name Clara stitched faint. They stood, not speaking, the river carrying what neither needed to hold. The village hummed behind, laughter rising, elders telling stories of rivers that remember. But the past wasn't silent. A letter came, sealed with the same cavalry mark, demanding Tala's return. Elias burned it, no words, just ash. Days later, hoofprints circled the village, fresh, too many. Vance's men, or others, didn't matter, the hunt wasn't over. Elias and Tala stood at the ridge, her blade sharp, his rifle ready. The village armed, not with guns but with will. Caleb appeared one dusk, coat torn, no badge, just a man now. He nodded, took a post, said nothing. Night fell, and shadows moved in the trees. Who was coming, and would they survive the fight? Wait till the end to see if they stand or fall. The attack came before dawn, hooves thundering, torches flaring. Elias fired first, a shadow dropping in the snow. Tala moved like wind, guiding elders to the ravine, her blade flashing in the firelight. Caleb held the ridge, his shot steady, no hesitation now. The attackers, hired guns with no names, pushed hard, but the village fought back. Stones, spears, hands that refused to break. A torch hit the lodge, flames climbing fast. Elias tackled the man, took a knife to his side, kept moving. Tala pulled a child from the smoke, her braid singed, her eyes fierce. Caleb shot the last gunman, his face pale but set. The fire died, the snow soaking red. The village stood, scarred but breathing. Tala knelt by an elder, her hands steady, binding wounds. Elias leaned against a post, blood seeping through his coat, but alive. Caleb stayed, no words, just there. The river ran steady, carrying ash and memory. Tala stood by Elias, her hand finding his, not out of need but choice. The village rebuilt, slow, deliberate, laughter returning like a pulse. A stone settled in the river, not buried, just placed. Some wounds scar honest, some stories live in silence. This is about seeing past blood to the heart still beating. If this moved you, share what it left behind. Stay with us for stories that refuse to be forgotten.